I think, wouldn't you know it, I think the rain's just about subsided now. It's getting a bit brighter out there, which means it should be nicer conditions for our second race of the day for the Track Attack Race Club, who, of course, are their grid set by the finishing positions from race 1. It was red flag towards the end after a rollover for the Jim Dimmon's Peugeot 206. But here's the grid as they ended up being classified for race 1. So it's Simon Tomlinson in the Volkswagen Golf who starts on pole position. Alongside him is Nick Gwinnett in the Renault Clio. Then it's David Clark in that brilliant little Renault 5 GT Turbo. And then David Sheed in the BMW Compact. Jamie Anderson's Honda Civic comes next on row 3 alongside Tony Hunter's Renault Clio. And it's the VW Scirocco of Ken Lark alongside Chris Adams in his Volkswagen Golf. Row 5, as we move on to the second part of the grid on our screen, it's Tony Markham's Honda Civic alongside Charlie Heatley's Mini Cooper. David Maiko's Renault Clio alongside the Volkswagen Golf Mark 1 of Donald DeVar. Michael Bland's Peugeot 306 next to Gerard Merriman in his Clio Cup car. And it's Brian Roberts' Golf. Peter Dunmore's Honda Civic starting in 16th place on the grid. And moving through to row 9, we have Philip O'Halloran, who'll start towards the back in his Audi TT. Then there's a row's gap. Then we get to our Peugeot 206 GTI Production Cup cars. It's Carl Powell, who was declared winner in the first race, who will start from pole position alongside Kevin Housen on the front row of their grid. Then it's Will Powell and Paul Rice behind them on their second row. And we move backwards to Matt Anderson, Stuart Cheeseman, Samuel Watley, Harry Greenhill, Edward Simmons and Andrew Mitchell, John Allen and Craig Walker. And then we come back towards the last couple of cars on the grid. It should be the last one, should be Nick Leiball. If he's there, Jim Dimmon, if he is, I'll be really impressed, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's not, given the rollover that he had. It was a gentle one, but I think I have to put him out if it's smashed up the glass, I think I saw on the track at the time. And then Kevin Matkin and Chris Farr round out what should be the last two cars in the Production GTI Cup, the 206 GTI Production Cup grid. So away they go then on the formation lap. They will get 2 green flag laps, of course, because conditions have changed since they were out there last time later on this afternoon. Just a reminder for those who are watching earlier on, for all those who weren't watching earlier on, to get a bit of a breakdown of what Track Attack Race Club is. It's pretty much a collective of different series and clubs that are kind of all put together into one grid together. So you have a mixture of French, German and Japanese cars on the grid together. You have, and the Japanese contingent is put into the Nippon Challenge class, or the Nippon Challenge category. You then have the Tricolor Trophy category for cars such as Peugeot 306s and an abundance of Renault Clios on the grid. And also you've got David Clark's brilliant little Renault 5 GT Turbo. It's got plenty of straight line speed, as we've seen earlier on. We then also have the Deutsche Marks Cup, which also incorporates the classic VW Cup drivers, and that's for German cars, mainly the VWs on the grid, and there's a couple of other cars I think should have been racing here today, but I've not been able to make it out on track this afternoon. And then you also have the 206 GTI Production Cup, which is a separate little series that's been latched onto and part of the Track Attack Race Club paddock for the last couple of seasons. It's been growing very steadily, and this weekend sees its biggest entry of 16 cars, although I suspect after the rollover for Jim Dimmond, might well be 15 for this afternoon's second race. But again, what I've understood and what reports have been, it was quite a slow rollover, so it wasn't too harsh, and hopefully that regardless of the severity of it, I hope the Jim's okay and that the car is repairable enough for it to get back out the next rounds in a few weeks' time. So out they come. I did spot one car that was also on the grid as well that wasn't out there on the first race, but is out there on the second. I think it went out in a lunch break, and that's Mark Diath's Super Impreza. It's kind of like a WRC-looking Super Impreza, and I'm pretty certain that if his car doesn't have an advantage in these wet conditions, I'm not sure which will. The front-wheel drive cars that are out there, which there are plenty, will have quite an advantage. The rear-wheel drive BMW Compact of David Sheed will be in the mix. There's the Subaru. You see the blue car heading through the shop. He's at the back of the non-206 runners towards the front. That's the combined first part of the grid, which incorporates the Nippon Challenge Tricolor Trophy and the Deutsche Marks Cup cars. And then the 206 cars are set a couple of rows back with I think a 10-second delay to their start. So it's a 20-second start delay. 20-second delay to their start, if I can get my words out this afternoon. It's been a long weekend. As they come back around to their formation lap. And again, as I mentioned, they're going to get a second green flag lap, so plenty of time for them to assess the conditions, because of course earlier on this afternoon they had a bone dry circuit, and it was still warm conditions, but not as wet a circuit as they've got right now to have to contend with. So ample opportunity for them to get to grips with how much the track has changed. Yeah, as the first few cars go past the pit lane past me, they are carrying on for a second lap to confirm that. So that's a pretty straightforward thing, a straightforward fact to confirm. So the pack makes its way around at its own pace to try and get to grips with what conditions are like. I have to say, it genuinely is looking as though on the camera, so it's brightening up, and it is going to be getting a bit brighter out here. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rainbow at some point, because given the fact we've had the rain with also the warmth and a little bit of brightness around the circuit now, it's starting to get a bit better. And certainly the warm conditions have helped with the drying of the circuit pretty quickly. So it will probably get to the point where it's not feel pretty wet out there, but it'll start to get more kind of what we call intermediate conditions, where it's not fully wet, but it's not fully dry. There's still a bit of spray around there for the drivers to have to contend with. And I'm sure drivers will still be reaching for that karting line, wet line, which they're using. They're regularly used in conditions like this. So watch out for them to take some alternative lines through corners, which might look odd, but whatever they do it to try and get the most amount of grip they can on the circuit given the conditions. So everyone just taking a different line out there to try and search for a bit of grip and just see what the track's like on certain parts. See Charlie Heatley's number 44 Mini Cooper there, which has got this, it's the same one, it's got this beautiful whining supercharger in it, which as it goes past, it's absolutely brilliant. So watch out for him if you can hear it on the cameras, the microphones on the cameras. If it picks it up, it's quite a fantastic sound to listen to. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And he's becoming a regular in the Track Attack race. There are several drivers, particularly of which, if I look down some of the names that are familiar to those who've raced before. Nick Quinnett, who is in second place in his Renault Clio, is also one that's been out for quite a while with the club. As is David Clark, he pops up every now and again in his Renault 5 GT Turbo. Tony Hunter, who is kind of one of the main members within the Track Attack race club in car number 1 with the bright white Renault Clio. It's one of the certainly the cars that you definitely can't miss out on circuit. Also in there too, I recognise Tony Markham's quite regular here as well. So is David Maiko, Gerald Merriman, and so is also Peter Dunmore and Philip O'Halloran as well, as they move up through the order to try and pick up the best results they can. And looking at some of the 206 GTI Production Cup cars, you've got the likes of Carl Powell and Kevin Houghton, Paul Rice, who, if I'm correct, is one of the main men behind that as well. So he's been working hard behind the scenes to build that up in the last couple of seasons. And as I said, biggest grid they've had so far this yet to date in the 206 GTI Production Cup. 16 cars here this weekend. We've got 15 starting, of course, I imagine, because no Jim Dibbond after his slow rollover at Murray's. And the series does throw up some unique cars in there. You saw, of course, Donald DeVar's Mark 1 Golf. There's another Mark 1, which is a Mark 1 Berg, which is driven by, I think, Tim... or Berg, which is driven by Tim Berg, I think, or... I haven't got that name right, but it's a one that certainly sounds quite phenomenal when you hear it on circuit. It was out at Mallory Park at their first round of the BRSEC back in May. So they've also been on a BRSEC race weekend last month in June at Alton Park. So their next one, I believe, will be somewhere around about, I think, August I think it's August at Brands Hatch, I think, and then go possibly to Cadwell Park. I need to check the schedule to double check that. Onto the grid they come then. So it's Volkswagen Golf and Clio on the front row of the grid from Renault 5 and rear-wheel drive BMW Compact, and Honda Civic and another Renault Clio. And it'll be VW Corrado and Volkswagen Golf Mark 4 on the fourth row of the grid, and it'll be another Honda Civic and the Charlie Heatley Mini Cooper. So plenty of different hot hatchbacks all set to get underway here. Last few cars in that top half are going to start to form up just behind, and then it will be the collective of 206 GTI Production Cup cars that will be getting set to get underway this afternoon. Simon Tomlinson in that ex-VW Cup car. He's an ex-VW Cup driver, so certainly finding a place to race that car, and he's now jumped in, of course, with the classic VW Cup. This, of course, now part of the the Deutsche Marks Cup with Track Attack. There go the 206 GTI cars. I think the rain starts to fall a little bit more again now. I can see outside, but it's still steadily falling, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But it's still getting brighter out there, which might help give a bit of a saving grace when it comes to potential improving conditions. So we are getting set now for our second Track Attack Race Club race of the day. Rain continues to fall here at Snetterton, but it's not going to dampen anyone's spirits this afternoon. As now Simon Thomas and Nick Gwinnett prepare to launch themselves off the line and down towards Richie's corner for the first time. Lights out and we're going. It's a great start from the Renault Clio of Nick Gwinnett, trying to squeeze in the middle of both Tony Markham and Charlie Heatley. There was David Myko in his Renault Clio. Meanwhile, just behind them, it is going to be a start in a moment for the Turn 6 GTI Production Cup as they get underway. They make the charge down towards Richie's corner for the first time. Meanwhile, the front half of the field turns its way into turn 1 for the first time. Lots of spray around as they turn their way through to try and get as much visibility as possible and try and pick their way through and find the right line. And the lead is actually now going to be, whoops, it's going to be, well, it was, well, it is David Sheed that leads the way, and David Clark and Nick Gwinnett are having so focused on each other having a braking duel, they forgot where the corner was, and they almost skated straight off the road. They just about got it anchored up, but they have lost several positions now to roughly about 6th and 7th each, and they're still going side by side, as now that's David Myko going around the outside to try and hold on to the position. So now it's David Sheed in the BMW Compact that leads then, and Ken Lark from what was 7th on the grid up to 2nd in that start. Brilliant stuff from the VW Corrado to get himself up into the penultimate spot on the runner-up spot already in these early stages. David Clark and Jamie Anderson are going side by side for position. And that's the little Renault 5 GT Turbo going round the outside of the Honda Civic. And so for 6th and 7th place they turn in. Simon Thomason runs a little wide on the exit of Williams, of Hamilton's there towards Oggies. So around the outside, I'm sure the fast starting David Myko might try and move around the outside. He's going for it because he knows there's more grip on the outside line in these conditions. Jamie Anderson says, I want to play 2. Up the inside he goes with the Renault. And Myko seems as though lets him have it. But again, the outside line will be favoured for David as he goes round the right-hander. And he'll stay side by side. There is Charlie Heatley in the supercharged Mini Cooper. Now down the Bentley Straight they go for the first time with the spray trailing behind them. Ken Lark is actually starting to get very close to David Sheed. In fact, actually trying to go for the lead here into the complex at Brundon Nelson. Here they come. Oh, he had a look up the inside there, but David Sheed quickly shut the door and made sure he wasn't going to make any progress. Meanwhile, Tony Hunter also, he's always a formidable driver in track attack race. I'd never count him out at all in any race. He swept around the outside of Jamie Anderson. And there goes David Myko in 6th position. Now, Nick Gwinnett's dropped quite further back because it is a red clear up there, but there's Nick Gwinnett, just the bottom of the shot. He's about roughly 7th or 8th now, so he's dropped from where he was on the front row of the grid. But now, rear-wheel drive BMW ahead of front-wheel drive VW Corrado. The Simon Tomlinson and VW Golf is also in there as well. They now turn their way in through Murray's for the first time. It's BMW, Volkswagen. Then the 2 Renault Clios followed by Jamie Anderson's Honda Civic. The Renault 5 GT Turbo remains in around about 7th place ahead of Jamie Anderson. As the rain starts to come down once again here at Snetterton. And the spray starts to get kicked up down the pit straight from the cars as they charge down towards Richie's corner again for the start of lap 2. So just to confirm the order on the timing screen as they come back past. So yeah, Sheed from Lark, from Tomlinson, from Hunter, Anderson, Myko, then Clark, Heatley, the Nick Gwinnett in 9th position, and then there we just saw Chris Adams in P10. Now there's the car to watch out from, Sean. Mark Diath in 11th place. He's in the Subaru Impreza, which has 4-wheel drive, so you'd imagine 4-wheel drive has a big advantage here, but so far hasn't made up. He's from the back of where he was on that grid, which I think was, if I get it right, that was 17th, 18th on the grid. He's up now already 7 spots into 11th, so see how much more progress he can make. As a big sideways moment for David Sheed. That's what rear-wheel drive does in these wet conditions, and it really has given the chance for Ken Lark to breeze past him down the straight towards Agostini. Also now in the mix there appears to be both Simon Tomlinson and Jamie Anderson, who's kept ahead of Tony Hunter, who himself is under attack from David Myko. So side by side for the lead here. Sheed on the outside. Lark has held the inside line through Agostini, and that gives him the right line to go inside and towards Williams. There was a really big wiggle there for Sheed as he got the throttle on under acceleration, exiting the left-hander at Agostini. Now into the right-hander at Oggies. Oh, off the road's gone Ken Lark. Ken Lark's gone off the road at Oggies. Oh, we cut away just as it happened. So I just saw Ken Lark was off the road there. So that, unfortunately, was possibly a premature end to the race for Ken Lark. So I saw him going straight on. It looks as though he went straight into the barriers. So hopefully he's okay. But I think we've lost Ken Lark, sadly, which is from him in the lead. If we can get a shot of his car up he's got going again, that would be quite handy. But there's the Turn 6 Production GT 206 GTI Production Cup as they head their way out through the left-hand at Williams and into Oggies for the first time. And is Ken Lark's car still there as he kept on going? He might have just run quite wide. But even so, there's a couple more of the 206 GTI Production Cup cars as they head through the right-hand at Williams and onto the Bentley Straight. There's car 74 in the 206 GTIs. And that is, just for reference, that is, if I find them on my program notes here for a second again, it's car 74 is Samuel Watley. So there's the 141 of Kevin Houghton, who was one of the front runners earlier on. There's Paul Rice in car number 42. It's been quite a stalwart of these cars ever since they came into fruition a couple of seasons ago. Having a good battle there with the 25 car. That's Matt Anderson. Then the 116, which is Harry Greenhill. Same team that runs Ben Greenhill in the Mazda MX-5 Super Cup. Top two, meanwhile, in the lead. That's Simon Tomlinson now, who's taken to the front. Ahead of Jamie Anderson. David Sheaf down to third place, ahead of David Maiko in fourth. Charlie Heatley in fifth. And it's Clark Hunter. But Ken Lark did carry on, so he must have just run wide. And it's down to 8th position after he was challenging for the lead. But I'm sure, given the pace that he's got in these conditions, he might not stay there too much. I've just noticed as well that I'm going to refresh my timing, because the timing said there was 30 seconds left to go. So just check if that's not a typo. That's actually, no, there's only 25 seconds to go. So it's quite a short race, in fact, actually, maybe only 5 minutes or so, which is quite interesting. So they must have shortened it quite substantially in order to get this race in, so they can fit the last two in on the programme. So it's only quite a short 3-lap sprint for these cars, or 4-lap sprint, because they're on lap 4 of this very shortened race. Must have been in about roughly, what was that, about 10 minutes or so. So, and the lap times are roughly about 2 minutes 48 or so. So maybe it was a shortened 10-minute race by the looks of things. There's Mark Diath in car number 48. He's currently 12th at the moment. He's leading, well, the only Nippon Challenge 300 car in the field, 12th overall at the moment. In terms of the class leaders, the Deutsche Marks Cup is led by Simon Tomlinson, who leads overall. Jamie Anderson leads the Nippon Challenge. He's second overall. And then we have the Tricolor Trophy is led by David Maiko. That's his Class E car that leads in Tricolor Trophy, 4th overall. And the Maturo 6s are led by the 55, which is Will Powell, and he leads that class as well. There's Tony Hunter, who's having a battle with the two Volkswagen VWs behind him, that being Ken Lark's recovering Scirocco, and then the Mark IV Golf of Chris Adams, and there also is David Clark. So he must have got involved in some skirmishes too to drop down as low as he has. He crossed the line in 6th position, so he's made a mistake somewhere. And just again, look at the straight line speed this little Renault 5 has. It's not a Renault 5 turbo like the Group B rally cars. It's a GT turbo, so it's more akin to the proper standard road going version. It's got plenty of speed in a straight line. Round the outside of the position goes Ken Lark, and also looks like Chris Adams up the inside of the Renault. Yes, there he goes. That's 2 positions lost on the last lap. But Tony Hunter tries to fight back on the outside line. Adams tries to squeeze him across and take the racing line into the bomb hole, which he does, and just about holds on there. Meanwhile, I think we're going to get ready for the checker flag, because the clock has gone to 0. So the leader of things, it seems, is going to be Simon Tomlinson. Checker flag is being readied on the pit straight, so we'll have to wait and grab a shot of our leader to come across the line. And here he comes down the pit straight, and the victory does indeed go to Simon Tomlinson, who wins that second race here at the track at that race club at Snetterton. We're still watching the battle that's going on for 6th, 7th and 8th. Cross the line, in fact, goes actually, no, that was changed on the last lap, forgive me. So Jamie Anderson, there was so much going on that last race, we didn't quite catch it. So Jamie Anderson actually wins that race, forgive me, at 2 minutes 43.662, was also the fastest lap of the race. Tomlinson in second place, he wins that by 6.6 seconds. David Maiko charged up to third in the end and managed to pick up the final podium place and win the Tricolor Trophy category. It's 4th for David Sheed, 5th for Charlie Heatley, 6th for Ken Lark after his brief excursion wide at Oggies under braking a couple of laps ago. Chris Adams is 7th, Tony Hunter 8th, then it's David Clark 9th, and then it's rounding up the top 10, Filippo Halloran, who drove pretty well in his Audi TT from the back of the grid of the first half of the field, ahead of Nick Gwinnett, who didn't have the luckiest of races in that shortened race, and then it was Daniel Devar who rounds up in 12th position. The 206 has come across the line. It's the Powells first and second, so it's going to be Will Powell ahead of Carl Powell. So a Powell 1-2 for them. It's Kevin Houghton who also picks up a podium again in 3rd position. The rest of the field comes through to take the checkered flag. And a big thank you to the Track Attack Race Club for joining us on this race day. and looking forward to seeing them again. I think their next outing is, in fact, at, if not Brands Hatch, I think it will be at Cadwell Park. Yes, at Cadwell Park at the end of August, so got a while to go until we see them again on our BRSCC meeting, but when we do, it's going to be back again on live stream, and I'm sure it's going to be quite an occasion for all of those in attendance. So thank you to them for their 2 excellent races. And now we have, of course, 2 more to go for this afternoon's action. One more kind of shorter race, that being the final race of the weekend for the BRSCC Fiesta Junior Championship, and then our kind of weekend-ending sort of main event, if you like, in many cases, which is the 45-minute multi-class club sport trophy race, which is a mandatory pit stop, up to 2 drivers, or solo efforts if you want, and a 5-class structure, which makes it quite a fantastic, popular series with just over 40 cars enter this weekend of all sorts of shapes and sizes that fit within the power to weight ratio bracket as well. So if you want more information on the Track Attack Race Club, you can either head to their website, or you can head to the brscc.co.uk website, and you can head to the Formula section, click on Track Attack Race Club, and you can go ahead and find out more about it. So let's head down to the Parc Fermé area where Josh has got our race winner, Jamie Anderson, on that second Track Attack Race Club race.
So we're down here with the race winner then of the Track Attack Race Club, and it was Jamie Anderson. Jamie, a slippery old circuit, but you made the most of it and came through.
Yeah, definitely, you know, we separate the drivers, and that made the difference. It's all right, we struggled in race 1. You know, we're massively down on power, you know, against some of these machines here. We showed a driver ability in race 1 off the start line, but then it obviously proved it in race 2, you know, and it sort of separated the men from the boys, if you like to say that.
And when you got to the front, you really drove away?
Yeah, definitely, you know, I was getting held back heavily by them, and I suppose that's experience in some ways, but no, it was good. I was struggling with a bit of vision, but other than that, no, it was good. A good finish to the weekend, and that's probably good in this weather.
Is your car pretty standard Type R?
Yeah, definitely. It's a Cup car, so everything on it is totally standard. You know, engine runs about 218 brake, 216 brake, so nothing special. I suppose it just separates from a driver and the setup, you know, and that's a big thing, really.
Well, congratulations on the win. So that was our race winner, going to get his winner's trophy. In second place was Simon Tomlinson in the Gulf, who's behind us. Well done, Simon. Second place again. The car not the quickest off the line.
No, it's terrible off the line. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I knew it were going to be hard work. I even started in second. It just spools up and that's it. So, but I got back to first for a short while, but I couldn't see. He had no lights on the front, and I was steamed up, so I didn't really want any damage. I'd come away with damage from Alton, so I thought, do you know what? It's I'm quite happy to. If he's faster, he's faster. And that's it. But yeah, really good weekend. Again, Track Attract, Meadows, super welcome, and really enjoyed it.
What were the conditions like from your point of view?
I've been in worse, but I've never raced on road tyres before, so it were quite a learning curve to what I could and couldn't get away with. I probably would have made one more change to the car, and that would have been to take the rear roll bar off, where I did the front bar, soften the car, but left the rear one on, just to see if it probably wanted to come off, just to help it a little bit, and probably some more softening of suspension. But it's first real wet race we've done with them, so good testing, really.
Well done on second place.
Thank you.
And I think it's David over here. David Moko, who finished in third place. David, third place for you, well done.
Cheers, thanks. That was an interesting race, yeah. It was first time on the rain sports, and so yeah, I'm not used to being this far up before. Usually Class E, I'm quite far down, but yeah, no, I was happy with that.
Obviously, you must start a bit further back on the grid. So you had quite a lot of overtaking to do.
Yeah, a good start in the inside of 2 people, and then just picked them off around the outside throughout the race. Yeah, it was interesting, very slippy, very slippy. But
is again your car quite standard?
Yeah, it's standard 182 pretty much. Still got electric windows in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the rain sports make a big difference, you know, on the wet track. So yeah.
In these conditions, the tyre choice is very important then.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because you know, deciding whether to go out on the semi-slicks, but with it still raining, I thought, I'll try the rain sports, and it was the right choice to make. So,
was there any standing water still out there?
Yeah, there was quite a bit. Yeah, there was a bit in places, but the spray was unreal. You couldn't see anything. Yeah.
Well done on your third place finish.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's our top 3 from the Track Attack Race Club. Already cars are on the track for our next race.